Hi everyone. Today the focus of the podcast is going to be on SwissBorg, which is a crypto wealth management platform based in Switzerland. SwissBorg is a super successful application and they are a very big user of Scala. They manage more than $1 billion of assets across more than 1 million of users in both their Android and iOS application. So this video is not a sponsored video. I do this just to showcase a company using Scala and doing a great business with it. And to do that, I invited Voytek Pituła, which is a staff software engineer at SwissBorg. So please welcome Voytek. So hi, Voytek. I'm really happy to have you here.
Thanks. Happy to be here as well.
So I would like to start this discussion to try to clarify a little bit, what you're doing at SwissBorg. I mean, what SwissBorg is doing. So I read that you're a wealth management platform. So could you explain me, what does wealth management mean exactly? Is it like a trading solution, a trading platform, a broker, or something similar?
It's a little bit like that, but I like to think it's a more generic solution. Like you go to a trading platform when you actually want to trade.
Mm-hmm.
You go to wealth management platform when you have some wealth and you want to manage it. So protect it against inflation or invest it in that product or different product with that risk or different risk. So yeah, we do offer trading, but it's just one of our features. We're not focused on trading that much.
I see. So does it mean that you offer like some investment, like an ETF or a fund where you kind of offer like a strategy for your clients, and then you're in charge of the trading behind it?
Yes, that's exactly one of our products. It's called Thematics. So there we say this is a bucket of assets with a given proportions. Like the simplest one is our golden thematic, so 50% Bitcoin, 50% gold.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we just take care of like you can allocate money into it, then we have a periodical rebalance of that. So yeah, it's kind of similar to ETF.
Okay, I see. It makes sense. And could you explain me a bit like what you do at SwissBorg? What are your responsibility there?
That's a very good question, to which I don't yet have a good answer. So I'm a staff engineer here, and my area of responsibilities is a little bit blurred. So I generally try to make things happen. Like I make sure that we spot the dangers early. I make sure that people have the right tools for the job, that they know with whom to talk. It's this whole concept of glue work to facilitate what other people are doing. So I'm outside of feature development. I no longer contribute to the actual requests from product. I work. I have a lot of meetings. I still write code for like, I don't know, 30-40% sometimes of my time. But the code is either it's a POC of some sort or some infrastructural work or refactoring that really has to happen or stuff like that.
So you're a bit like a joker that goes to different teams based on the current needs, or if someone needs help or something like this?
Almost, but not in my case. Like it sometimes works like that for staff engineers. For me, it's a bit different. I work for two teams, like on a fixed assignment. So I work 50% on payments, which is like in and out of money from the platform, and the other 50% is on the squad we have. It's called treasury, accounting, and controlling. So that's like a lot of numbers and validating those. So I help those two teams, and of course I help anyone who needs help. But daily
Yes,
I'm
focus.
part of those two teams.
Okay, makes sense. And so now I believe that SwissBorg is quite a big user of Scala. Could you tell me like a bit like what do you use Scala for, and what are the other like programming languages that you use at SwissBorg?
Sure. So generally speaking, we try to use Scala for everything we can. Like we really like the language. But yeah, the primary use case are our backend services. So all of our backend is written in Scala. Here we don't have anything else. We also use it for tooling, like we have some scripts written in with Scala CLI. Yeah, we use it for data engineering also to some extent, but not with Spark. We just have standard backend code, just data pipelines written with Scala.
So it's like for reporting to aggregate some numbers, so things like this. Yeah.
Yes. If I remember correctly, triggered by Airflow, but still written in Scala. Yeah, and then when it comes to different languages that we have, so obviously we have Swift for iOS app and Kotlin for the Android app. We do have TypeScript for the internal back office, so like a web page. What else do we have? We have some Python. So historically, we were using Python for the tooling, like CLIs and other kinds of scripts. We are trying to phase that out, but we still have it. And also, we have Python for data engineering, machine learning, stuff like that.
And how do you find Scala CLI? Because I think it's quite new. I didn't really have much time to use it myself. So how do you find it generally?
For me, it's a huge enabler. Like we don't use it because it can be used as a build tool, even though it's not, and that's not how we use it. But for us, Scala CLI is a huge enabler when it comes to scripting and all kinds of tooling, because then you can put your scripts, your code alongside the project. And then run it from CI/CD, run it locally, whatever way you want, and it just works. Like you don't need SVT project, you don't need to compile it. You just put a bunch of code in a file, execute Scala CLI, and it runs. So it simplifies a lot.
And how do you find, like, generally writing script in Scala? I mean, of course, Scala is like you're very familiar with it, but how do you find it? Like is it difficult to get into it? Like especially for scripting, what I mean, like let's say interacting with files, other like.
No, there is nothing hard in it. The only thing that needs a bit of time to figure out or like get used to is how to replace your FP stack, that if assuming you're using one, with something more suitable for scripting. So you obviously can write script with Katz effect and stuff like that, but you will be paying a little bit for the safety you don't actually need.
Yeah.
So if you're used to pure FP stack that we use and a lot of type safety, then you need to figure out how to strip that down for scripts. So you probably want a different stack, something like simpler, less safe, but that much more concise. And yeah,
I heard that Lee Howie has quite a few libraries to work around scripting that works very well. Is it what you're using?
Yes, I think so. That we used a couple of those. They are really concise and like get the job done in that context.
Awesome. I'll try to get Lee Howie on the channel soon, so we can go that in detail. And so generally talking a bit about the Scala stack you're using, because Scala is quite big, you have many stacks like Typelvel, ZU, Lee Howie has his own, Akka. So what kind of Scala are you writing? Is it like functional? Which stack are you using?
Yes, so we are quite committed to Katz effect.
Okay.
So all our code relies on Katz effect IO. We had a short experiment with Zio, but we stick to Katz effect for now.
Both are fairly similar.
Yes, they are. It's just that we had more, like the benefit was not big enough to justify
The change.
having two, the change or rewrites or having two at the same time. So for now we stick to Katz effect. When it comes to that, we have some services that follow tagless final, some that use the IO directly. So that's up to the team what they prefer.
What do you prefer?
Yes, we try to use all the things that come with that. So we use Dubi for database access. Yeah, we have quite some Akka
Okay.
as well, but not the actors themselves, because those we don't build system on top of actors that much, but we do leverage the Akka persistence and Akka cluster a lot for the
Mhm.
event sourcing. So we still use IO on top, but we shard the actors and execute from them when it comes to event source services
I see.
using Akka, and now we are migrating to Pecco.
Oh, cool. So how is the migration going? Is it fine?
I'm not hands-on on this, unfortunately, but I know it's okay. Like I haven't heard anything bad. I think it's just starting. I heard that it's even like some recent new version of Pecco allows you to even upgrade the whole cluster in a rolling way, like rolling update of the cluster. So you have part of the cluster running on Akka, part of the on Pecco, and that just works, which is great for
Wow,
you
that's
know.
cool. You don't need to do a big bang release. You can actually, that's very cool. So, how do you find the integration between the type level stack and Akka? Because like type level, as you mentioned, like it's a lot of the cat's effect, at least it's lots of IO, while Akka doesn't have like the notion of effect. So how do you glue essentially these two things together if you need to?
We try to, yeah, that's a hard topic, and it comes with a lot of caveats, but we generally try to make that layer as well hidden as possible. Like do it once and then forget about Akka. So we love it for the infrastructure layer, but we don't want to see it in the business code or basically any code you have to write on a daily basis.
I see. I see. Okay, so you said yourself you don't deal with actors in your business logic, but it's more like a higher level on top of that. Is
Exactly.
cool.
So we typically come up with some sort of abstraction on top to bridge, but we don't use the features directly.
But it's cool that you managed to work these two stacks together. I think like quite a lot of people sometimes believe that these stacks are completely separated to each other, but I think like lots of libraries actually interact with each other quite nicely, and there are a few libraries that actually glue them together, like convert an Akka stream into an FS2 stream and so on, and it works very well.
Yep. We
And in
recently migrated from Akka streams to FS2, and it
yeah,
was like, or you could say we're still migrating because we still have some Akka streams, but we migrated a lot of stuff. It was less work than expected, and everything continues to work. So they're also interchangeable.
yeah, nice. And in terms of Scala, which version of Scala are you using? Are you still on Scala 2 or have you already migrated to Scala 3?
We're still on Scala 2, so our road with Scala 3 is already relatively long. So with the first release, with first stable release, we created an epic for ourselves to migrate as soon as possible. We started documenting the blockers, so what's missing. We did a very early effort to switch to Scala free syntax. So there is this compiler flag, and we use it across all our services right now. So we are syntax compatible, I think.
Okay, so the flag is saying that essentially your Scala 2 code, you know that it's actually compiling in Scala 3 when you will want to migrate.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So we did that effort very early on. So we are well prepared. Now I think only last month some of the last blockers were released, like Chimney, I think, and some other things that we use. So we soon should be able to start migrating. We'll see how that goes. But yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I've heard for several people like that it's actually now a good moment to actually migrate because lots of the initial issues and tooling and dependencies have been, are quite settled and now it's actually quite relatively easy to migrate. Like the cost is not as high as it used to be. Cool.
Yep.
I'm glad to
I
hear.
see a lot of effort being done by the team behind the compiler to streamline the migration. So it should be fine.
Nice. And could you a bit elaborate on, I don't know when you joined SwissBorg exactly, I'm not sure you were there at the inception, but do you know why SwissBorg made the decision to essentially bet into Scala and to use Scala for the main backend language?
Uh, yes, no, I was not there at the inception. But yes, I know because I can give a small spoiler. I'm writing a post about it right now, so it will come soon.
Cool. I'll add
Why
a link below
we,
the description.
yeah, why SwissBorg believes in Scala. So it has a whole paragraph about the early days, but it goes down to like first, if we keep the most minimal version of that, it's because bugs cost a lot of money in fintech.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of different reasons, and yeah, I try to list them in the article. But I think the crucial one is that a single bug can put your company down,
Yeah.
especially in the fintech space.
Yeah.
So obviously, Scala will not eliminate bugs by itself, but that's the bet we make. We believe that it will minimize it on statistically. So with more type safety, more compile time guarantees, functional programming, and also all the mindset that comes with it, because that's the one thing I strongly believe in. The language is not about its features, it's about the mindset that it creates in the developers. So
Mhm.
the Scala developers, on average, in my experience, have a strong focus on correctness and safety and like doing things the right way. And
Yeah.
that's the way we want to do stuff in fintech, just not to lose money, neither for us nor for customers. So yeah, that's probably why we went with Scala.
Yeah, I've heard similar reason also for lots of big financial institutions use Scala or another strong compiled time language for this reason. That's cool. And in terms of, I wanted to ask you, like, because some hiring managers tell me that it's actually, they find it difficult to hire Scala developers. Do you have like a similar experience at SwissBorg? Like, I guess at some point, like there was a crypto bubble. I mean, like a crypto crazy growth, and you must have hired lots of people at once. So did you had any problems actually filling the roles?
To be honest, no.
Good.
At least not to the level where it would be become a strategic risk. Uh, we hire a lot of people. I'm often quite close to the hiring effort, so I have kind of a first-hand experience with that. And hiring is always tough,
Yeah.
and I don't see any difference because we look for different people. Like we hire Scala developers, but we hire also Android, iOS, web. We hire QAs, managers. Like we hire for SREs for a lot of different positions. So I don't see a big discrepancy between how hard it is to find a good Scala developer versus good mobile developer. Even though the markets are different in size. What is important is that you get a lot less applications for Scala developers,
Hmm.
but that's actually a good thing because you spend much less effort on the interviews. You spend much less, and effort means time, means money.
Hmm.
So you spend less on the hiring, and the average quality of Scala developers is high. Like in our experience, whoever applied and went through the process, they were all top-notch candidates. Like if you look in different languages, you get a full spectrum. You get very good ones, you get bad ones, and here in Scala we see that we get much more good ones than we would normally expect.
Okay, so you don't so much need to filter out based on a technical basis. Generally, you find that the guys who apply, or guys or girls who apply, who are like technically most of the time they are good for you.
Yes, we rarely ever reject based on lack of technical skills.
I see.
Uh,
And do you think is
it's
it
different
because like
factors.
you're paying the big bucks as a Swiss company, or is it like based on something else? Like
No, I don't think it's a matter of bugs. You probably can make more money in Java for a right position or some other languages as well. I think it goes primarily to the fact that like the first thing is that we are a remote company, so we have access to a big number of countries. So we are remote first. We hire across European time zones, so it's a lot of different countries,
yeah,
a lot of different places. So this helps a lot, I think, really, really a lot. And the second thing is that we try to be strongly committed to Scala. Like when someone comes to us and they like the language, like the what it offers, what stays behind it, like the mindset that stays behind it, the culture that comes out of it, they will not be disappointed. So they don't have to be afraid. Okay, they will switch to Kotlin one day, or they will switch to TypeScript or something else. Like
I
we
see. Yeah,
like Scala.
yeah, it's like some
So
when you see some job offers, sometimes they list like 10 different programming languages, and you don't necessarily know what you're gonna actually do in your job. Which is fine to use several, but sometimes there are some companies advertise one stack, and actually what you're gonna do in real life is different. So you're saying that you're more like honest toward what people are gonna do in the job, or
yes, yes, and we are honest and stable. Like because those are two things. Like because some companies just pivot because they have a little bit of that, a little bit of that. They promise you one thing and they are honest. You will do that, but only for the 6 months, and then they switch, and it's no longer the case.
yeah, makes sense. But I guess also like the remote friendly opportunities like really opens a lot of doors, especially in Scala. I mean, it's more like a niche market, so you really need to a bit open your. If you're not in a like central location, maybe like London or big metropolis, I think remote really opens up a lot of options.
Yep.
And how do you find like hiring remotely? Like, for example, I heard people saying that it's quite difficult for juniors or like people with less experience. Like, quite often juniors may prefer to have like a mentor around, someone to, help them with their issues.
Yes, that's a very valid take. So we do hire across the whole spectrum of seniority. So we hire the juniors, we have interns, but it's tricky because first of all, the juniors that we hire, we typically expect to have at least some commercial experience. So not necessarily with Scala, but they should know how companies work.
Mhm.
And how you do stuff in real life, because when you get out of college, out of university, you don't have that perspective. So we typically look for people that have at least some exposure to real world work, like Git and stuff.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be long, but some of it. And then we hired remotely, I believe. And we also have interns, which don't even have that level of experience. We take them fresh out of the university, but those we hire on site. So they
Mm.
typically come to Lausanne office. They have someone around to mentor them and help them daily. So indeed, that is tricky.
And I guess you have a good location for the intern program since you're very close to the APFL, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
You can ask
Our
Martin
office.
Ordeski to send you the best candidates.
Yes, yes. I don't know if we have that, but a lot of people that work there studied under Martin. So
That's nice. I would like also to come back a little bit toward like crypto, because it's not an area that I know very well, and I would like to pick your brain while I'm here. So
sure.
one thing I heard is that the ledger that is, or like the blockchain essentially, like it's really like immutable in a sense that when you make a transaction and everyone agrees on it, it's there forever. You can't change it. So in a sense, it's quite functional. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's correct.
And in that context, I was wondering, how do you solve bugs? How do you fix a problem? Because, as you mentioned, you may have a very statically compiled language like Scala that prevent lots of bugs, but they don't prevent all of them. So how do you fix a bug when it happens?
So there are two sides to this. Like, one thing is that once something goes to the blockchain, it's done. Like, you don't have a way to fix bugs there. You just have to pay for it. So in that sense, all the on-chain work is very very critical. Like, it has to be verified carefully and stuff like that. For us, it's not that impactful because we have a limited interaction with the chains. So that might sound surprising to a lot of people, but we are a centralized system that interacts with both other centralized systems and the chain itself. Like, our trading engine, so the thing that actually executes the trades, it can use both the centralized exchanges like Binance
Mm-hmm.
or decentralized exchanges like Orca on Solana. So basically, there we interact with a smart contract that is deployed on the blockchain, and then stuff goes there. So once something goes to blockchain, you cannot fix it, but the same can be said about the other centralized provider. Like, as soon as you send order to another party, it's done, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
fair enough. Like once it
so
leaves your company, it's you can't redo it.
yes, so the another angle is the internal stuff, right? So internally, we don't use blockchain technology, but we do have some systems that are close to it. One of such systems is our internal ledger. So the component that keeps track of all the money across the company in various places, various products, everything basically. And that particular component has to have a very strong guarantees around correctness, reliability, and stuff like that, and auditability. So there we have, it's obviously event sourced, and we don't have a way to modify that journal. Like, there is a journal of events, and we are not allowed from kind of even legal perspective to modify the journal.
Mm-hmm.
So when bugs happen there, you simply have to roll forward. Like, let's say you recorded the transaction wrongly, so now you have to put a new event that moves money back and then moves it correctly.
Okay, so fix the amount.
Yes, fix the amounts, fix whatever happened, like just append on top the fixes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. So all append only. So you just need to add like an extra event that essentially fix the previous one.
Yes.
Okay, makes sense. And so you said that you don't necessarily interact with like blockchains too much. So, but how does it work when you have like assets living in different blockchains? Like, I'm not too familiar with all the details, but I know that there are several chains. So, how
Yes.
does it work for you? Like, where do these assets are stored for you?
So that's a good question. So the one part to that is we have a crypto custody. So crypto custody is a fancy term for a wallet, like corporate wallet that more security and rules and accesses, but basically something that holds crypto assets.
Mm-hmm.
And our crypto custodian gives us this ability to store assets on different chains.
Okay. Is it a third-party
So
tool that you're using, or is it something
yes,
that you have? Okay.
yes, it's a third party that's like, they are bigger than us. So it's a lot of work, a lot of system behind to keep it secure.
Yeah.
Than something that we could build in house. So yeah, we have that part, which is the custody, like just storage of funds.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is other side of the picture, which is let's say trading. And when we trade, we do it either on the decentralized exchanges, so through smart contracts, and in that case, we have to transfer some of the money to in the right place on the particular chain, so that can be used. Or we trade through centralized exchanges, let's say Binance, and then we still have to transfer that assets there, but the exchanges typically don't differentiate the networks. Like the network is a transfer medium, but once you have it there, it's a one currency most of the time. So let's say you have USDC, which is like a stable coin for a dollar.
Mm-hmm.
So you can hold it on Ethereum, you can hold it on Solana, let's say, or Polygon, different chains.
Okay.
Then you transfer to the exchange through that medium, but when it enters and it becomes just USDC. Then you trade with it, and then you care about the network again when you want to withdraw it out. It's the same. Our platforms works the same. So we care about the assets on in and out, but we take the complexity of managing what is kept where, kind of physically, is on us.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, it must be quite complex. And one thing I wanted to come back to, something you said at the beginning around that you had some thematic that were like, I think it was Bitcoin and gold going together.
Mm-hmm.
But so does it mean that you also allow trading like normal asset, like gold, or is it like?
That's a good question. No, we don't allow, like, in a sense, we don't allow to trade normal assets. What we do allow is to trade tokenized assets. So you have coins that reflect, in this case, like those are called commodity assets. So let's say gold. So there is a company that stays behind such a coin. It's audited, and they assure that, let's say, one of their tokens that they emitted can be exchanged to gold, like that. They keep the backing of that in gold.
So it's similar to like the
just
stable coin, right? Where they say like
yes,
one USDC is equal to one normal USD.
exactly. Yes, it's basically the same.
I see. So
It's just
for
that
you,
the price fluctuates with the price of gold.
so as long as the asset is like a token somewhere, you can potentially trade it. I mean, if you have the integration.
Yes, that's correct.
Sounds good. And do you think the future is going toward like more of this tokenization of the asset, or how is it going, in your opinion?
It's two-sided sword, one could say, because generally speaking, the crypto opens a lot of doors. Like things that were behind closed doors, behind, the agreement, like the legal constraints, or like if you want to be a bank, it's not easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there is a lot of complications behind. Now, the same things become a bit easier with crypto. Like the regulations are catching up, but because they come without the burden of hundreds of years of legal history of banking and stuff like that, the regulations are different, and they are as secure. Like let's make them the sphere as secure, but it's not as strict. So now crypto opens a lot of doors, but at the same time, it's not a silver bullet. Like we need a lot of technological advancements to keep it technologically on par with centralized systems. Like because the blockchain is just distributed computer, and you have to pay for this computer to be distributed. You get a lot of benefits, so you cannot shut it down, for example. Like there is no way to shut down Ethereum, but you have to pay for it, and you pay for it in the processing time, you pay for it in the resource consumption, like transaction costs, all of that. So it all has the cost. So I think crypto will only get better and more widely used, but we'll see. We'll have to see how it affects, the normal people, because the UX on chain for now is not always as good as for a centralized product. Like when you interact directly with chain, it's more like early hacker days when things worked and they did miracles, but the user experience was not good. Then we had companies that put product on top, pricing on top, and stuff like that, and then it actually became usable by a mortal on a
Yes.
daily basis. So
At
we
the same
need to
time,
see how that evolves.
when you look at a trading platform or like a Bloomberg terminal, it's not really like usable by the UX is not for like mortals. Like really, you need to be like a trader. You need to have lots of experience, and the terminology, the jargons is fairly complex. So
Yes, and that's exactly where we try to step in. So SwissBorg is targeted at those mortals, everyday humans. So we try to hide the complexity of the on-chain, leverage the fact that a lot of stuff is now available. I can give one good example because I like it a lot. It's like historically, when you want to crowdfund the company, it was not easy. Like you didn't have a good way to do it. It's much easier on chain. Like you can emit a token and then people who believe in you can buy your token. And of course it opens a lot of doors for scams, but it also makes it much trivial. Let's say I have a tiny startup, like 1 person, 2 person startup. I like what they're doing. And if they decide to emit a coin, a token of some sort, I can buy it and then because I can give them money to actually build the company further, and I can hope that they will build a better thing out of it. So this interaction is much easier, much more streamlined to do.
And do you think that it also can potentially reduce the fees? Because I mean, I've never funded a startup myself, but I always heard that the legal fees, like the fees generally to set up like an IPO or something like this are actually quite high. So do you think that potentially crypto can help like lower the entry bar?
Yes, I think I never did it myself, and I don't know the numbers, but my general intuition is that it should lower it a lot. Like I know that there are companies who specialize in they are called launchpads, so they specialize in facilitating new projects, and yeah, so I think that this might be as easy as the other stuff we used to do daily, like sign up in a SaaS and then click few things and you're done. Obviously, regulations come into play as always, but I believe it still should be at least a few orders of magnitude easier and cheaper than the standard way of doing it.
Yeah, I guess you're
And
right.
more
But
risky. But
the problem with like if it's easier to enter, it's also easier to create a scam because you don't need to invest so much in front. And as you said, yeah, I
exactly.
guess the regulation needs to catch up to around this. But potentially, I mean, at least it's interesting to see this development, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think it will go into the direction like that we are following. So we try to expose those early deals, like the people that were able to emit a token an easy way, but we kind of guard against scams. Like we do the due diligence and only follow with the projects that we trust. So as long as someone trusts us, there is a lower chance of get scammed with investing in a random token,
I see.
right? So I think the sphere will migrate into that direction, that you have just trusted launchpads that don't accept anyone. They just do the due diligence up front, a little bit of it, and like the right amount of it, and then you can be safe as a user.
I see. Yeah. So you give a bit more safety for your users. Makes sense. Cool. So I just wanted to, I think we can wrap things up now. One thing that I believe that you are currently recruiting, if I'm not wrong, like you're hiring software developers. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. I don't have the current number, but I think we still have at least 6 slots for Scala developers
Awesome.
right now. I think we might get even more, considering that the numbers I have is from beginning of the year, and this week the prices are going up. So if the bull market continues and the sphere continues to grow, we might have even more. So yes, we are definitely hiring right now.
Okay, I'll try to put a link below this video if you want to apply. I guess people can maybe contact you. What is the best medium, do you think, for people to reach out to you or the company if they have any questions? Or
I'm always happy to answer questions from candidates. So I think the best medium to reach me is on Twitter, or whatever it's called these days, like X. Yeah, so you can find me there. My DMs should be open. I'm thinking if I'm available anywhere else. I'm on Discord, on Scala Discord, but I'm not an active user there. But if you put enough effort, you will find me. So
okay, I can add a couple of links again below the video. If you have any questions, try to reach out, or you can comment on the video, and we'll try to find a way to improve things. So I wanted to thank you, Voytek, for coming today. Thank you very much. It was very nice talking to you.
thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I also would like to thank our sponsors, ScalaJobs.com. So, ScalaJobs is a recruitment agency and a job board dedicated to Scala that mix both recruiters and developers. So if you're looking for a new job or if you're hiring, we are definitely probably the best partner to work with. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. Again, you can find some links on the description. And if also I wanted to use this time that, with this podcast, I really want to showcase successful companies using Scala. I'm not sponsored; it's all free, and I want also to showcase like a great, fun project that people are working with. So if you have any of those, just drop me an email. Again, you can find the link below, and I will really be happy to have you on the platform. So thank you guys, and hope to see you soon.